Stop trying to sell me your RPG Maker game.
If you're an avid Steam user and you like RPGs, chances are you've been recommended a lot of these. Games made using a piece of software called RPG Maker that lets you do exactly that. Make RPGs. I'm sick of it. There's nothing inherently wrong with using something like RPG Maker. From what I've heard, people have done amazing things with it. But when you've been offered the entire catalog of RPG Maker games, you notice fundamental issues with all of them. Or rather, most of them. I bought a handful of RPG Maker games, some of the worst and some of the best, and instead of picking one and taking it apart, we're going to use them to break down this subgenre as a whole. A subgenre that has a problem relying on stock assets. These are things like character sprites, artwork, and tile sets, which is what RPG Maker uses to build environments. RPG Maker comes packaged with a whole suite of these to help you get started. They serve as placeholders to help give your ideas shape and provide a general understanding of how you want things to look, but they aren't used that way. So many of the games being sold use stock assets that they all start to look the same, and at times you see real talent go to waste, with games that have artwork on their Steam pages, but then don't use it in the damn thing itself. Take Destiny Warriors, for example. That banner looks great, but when you load it up, you get quality that's not as, prestigious. 13 years ago, there was a Kage named Alex. A Kage is the leader of the lands and Comic fucking Sans.
I'm not playing that shit.
When you spend the time to make nice artwork but never make the attempt to integrate it into your game, it sends a message. It's lazy, it's boring, and it can be interpreted as an attempt at deception. And there's two kinds of laziness, the kind that gives up before it starts, and the kind that doesn't take the time to refine anything, an arguably worse trait to have in this case. Games like Millennium: A New Hope, which are visually impressive and have nice ideas, but defeat their own hard work by bloating their game with needlessly huge areas and mediocre writing, compounded by these terrible battle menus. I can't read this. I feel like my dad trying to read his bank statement.
$10 for a... What is a Faku?
It's a problem that persists through the 5-part series the creators made over the span of a single year. These games are reportedly 20 hours long on average, and it's very hard to believe that 5 of them made over the course of a single year with a glaring problem like this that was never rectified could be anything else but rushed out the door. And Millennium is the best case scenario for this. Other games like Dark End, with a name only a mother could love, and an option to turn grinding off, make no effort to hide the fact that no time was given to balancing the game or making the art not terrible. And this isn't a jab at the quality, but between you and me, yeah. The art in the game is inconsistent, has loading issues, and it takes up half of the screen during battles, obscuring enemies you're supposed to be able to see.
And there isn't a better culprit of an RPG Maker game made with the least amount of effort than Raywin.
Arguably the worst in the genre, Raywin is a game with a bug in the starting room. It doesn't just have stock assets, it has stock assets from a completely different software. The only original contribution in this game is the text, and it's full of grammatical errors, cringy dialogue, and a transparent, I don't give a fuck attitude. If there was ever a case for making an effort into not giving a shit, Raywin would be Exhibit A. There's only about 6 battles in the game. The dialogue is on a 5th grade reading level. You can only fight one monster at a time. You can walk over objects that should have collision. The story is super dumb because you're part of like buying prophecy that everyone but you is somehow aware of, but no one will tell you what the prophecy is because and like the only times you will ever and you have a sidekick who's pretty useless. She doesn't give you enough to get so strong. Not to mention that your sidekick is just some like literal garbage thing where there's only 3. And I mean seriously, the part where I got stuck. It's terrible. Can someone please tell somebody that buying art on it and having the stock games is kind of sad to me and it's a good idea.
Alright! We get it. There's a lot of shitty RPG Maker games. why don't we talk about the good ones?
Honestly, I'd rather be hung upside down and fed pasta for a week than spend the rest of this episode cataloging every problem RPG Maker games generally have, because we'd be here forever. I'd rather make my case against pasta to you for the next 20 minutes because that would be more productive, unlike eating pasta. It's not like knowing and understanding them isn't a positive way to spend our time, but in this case, we learn more by looking at what many would consider good RPG Maker games, such as Learn Japanese to Survive, Hiragana Battle.
Of course, the first good game he mentions is about learning Japanese. You fucking pile of garbage.
Hiragana Battle is an edutainment game about the basics of the Japanese language. The enemies in the game are characters from the Hiragana alphabet, and in order to do damage to them, you need to correctly translate them in battle. It takes all of 2 seconds to know that this game is blatantly straight out of RPG Maker, but the focus is taken away from the familiar tile sets and character sprites by the game's purpose. It also helps that they changed the fucking user interface! The lessons on how to pronounce and write the characters, the need to translate them in order to win battles, and the game's insistence on having them take notes tells the player clearly and from the get-go that this is not the point. This is not what's being sold to you. This is. And even besides that, the game has custom artwork that isn't jarring when put side by side with stock elements, keeping an overall consistency visually. It understands its limits and plays within the boundaries so that as a player, you never see those limits. So many of the games made with RPG Maker rely on the fact that there's a combat system built into the software and expect it to hold up everything else, and that's backwards thinking. No one but me plays RPG games for the combat. No one else sits there saying, man, this RPG story? Sub-average at best, but oh, does that traditional combat system I've played 20 different times make up for it? Those words are not said. They're not even consciously thought of. Take a look at To the Moon, which, despite being made in RPG Maker, isn't an RPG. It's a point and click that focuses on atmosphere, storytelling, and making me cry my eyes out. It scraps the RPG elements and throws everything it has at environments, music, dialogue, all of which is original work, and adds puzzle mechanics as an element of gameplay. To the Moon understands exactly what it wants to be and is comfortable not using parts of the software just because it's a part of the software. Because of that, it has purpose. It has direction that the other titles I've mentioned do not, because unlike them, To the Moon took over a year and a half to make. And it's polished. They took the time and put in the work to refine their creation, and it's 1,000 times better than something with objectively more features to worry about that was rushed out in 3 months. It also helps that they changed the fucking interface!
But if you wanted to see the lengths one can go when making an RPG Maker game, if you want to see the standard we should be holding these games to, then you owe it to yourself to play the Amber Throne.
I shouldn't have to tell you why. You can see why. At first glance, you can't even tell that this was made using the same software that this was made with, or that this was made with. An almost entirely original creation, complete with custom animations, painted artwork that's used to create beautiful environments and unique designs, and writing that doesn't involve forced comedy, shoddy craftsmanship, or an obvious lack of passion. The Amber Throne doesn't use the RPG Maker software adequately, it makes it its bitch. A custom perspective for battles and mechanics such as forcing enemies into different stances to change their resistances means that whoever was in charge of making that happen had an understanding of how the combat is programmed. They learned how to manipulate and add to the existing code to get the program to do what they wanted it to do. To go beyond the tile set form of constructing the world, beyond fixed perspectives and static enemy sprites. What makes the Amber Throne one of, if not the best, RPG Maker game is that it uses RPG Maker correctly. Not as a crutch or an option to avoid creating a part of the game because it comes with it pre-packaged, but as a starting point, a medium to sculpt and carve away at and manipulate into their vision. It also helps that they changed the fucking interface!
And don't assume that these 3 games are infallible, because they're not.
To the Moon's control scheme is a little finicky. The lessons in Hiragana Battle could benefit from breaking down how to write the characters a bit further. The cutscenes and some animations in the Amber Throne can be too smooth or have terrible pixelation. But there is where the key difference between these RPG Maker games and these RPG Maker games lies. In the case of Hiragana Battle, To the Moon, and the Amber Throne, the criticism is about what exists. In the case of Millennium, Raywin, and Dark End, the criticism is about what is missing. The majority of these games, all of various lengths, are incomplete in different but immensely important ways. But the ones I've cited as their ideal counterparts, again all of varying length, are whole. There's a clear leap in the amount of work put into these games, but that's what they are. Games. Not proofs of concept. Not desperate grabs for money. Actual, original video games.
I mean, gosh, what a concept, you know?
If there's anything we've learned today, it's that anyone can make a video game. Anyone can do it. You can open RPG Maker right now and start making a video game, and you could finish it too. But making a good video game, that takes discipline. That takes practice. RPG Maker games, and any other set of games based off of some other game creation software for that matter, teach us one ridiculously crucial concept. There is a difference between doing something and doing something well. It's one thing to do it, and another entirely to put everything you've got into it. But it isn't an all or nothing situation either. There are degrees to which you can apply yourself to something, and the final result will be indicative of that. The games we've looked at today are proof. Don't walk away from this video with the mindset that RPG Maker games are trash or that they have a handicap. Walk away from it knowing how to tell the difference between a ripoff and a genuine attempt at creating something. Because games like the Amber Throne and To the Moon deserve a lot more credit than they're given, and the fact that they share a search tag with crap like Raywin shouldn't be what deters you from playing them.
That's all I've got today. My name's GC. Remember that you are amazing, and keep on playing positive.
Thanks for watching another episode of GC Positive. If this is your first time here, hello, my name's GC and I'm a positive kind of guy. Just wanted to check in with you guys. This episode was a little different than the usual ones. I took a bunch of games and talked about a bigger topic rather than just focusing on a particular title. Did you like it? Did I handle it well? Would you like to see more of this kind of thing where I take a group of games and tackle a much bigger, broader subject? I'm just trying to expand how I talk about things and what I talk about, and I'd appreciate it if you could help me out with that. Anyway, if you'd like to take a look at more of my stuff, you can click on either of the two videos you see on screen right now, and if you're interested in up-to-date information on when a new video comes out, or just random thoughts that I have during the day and stuff about Star Trek and other stupid bullshit, you can follow me on Twitter. Once again, my name's GC. Remember that you are amazing, and keep on playing positive. See you next time, guys.